Hey everyone, hope you all had a great summer. In today's video I'll be covering my last few Railfanning outings of summer of 2026, most of which provided at least some good activity. There's really only two outings that I want to cover here, although there was a third one, but I don't really want to cover the third one because it was kind of boring. Anyways, the first of these two outings was on July 31st. So on this day I had gotten word the UP 6706, the last Chicago and Northwestern painted locomotive left operating on a Class 1, was going to be passing through Wichita on its way south to Fort Worth. At the time it had a broken alternator, so everyone thought it was going to Wabtec in Fort Worth to be rebuilt, but it turns out this thing actually does have plot armor and they just fixed it and sent it on its way. That aside, once I'd gotten word on the 31st that the power had left the shops and was heading to build the train, I headed trackside. I would meet up with my friend WAMX 3829 at the warehouses just in time to catch them shoving the mid-DPU back to its cut of cars. I would tell you what this lash-up consisted of, but I think I'll just let it speak for itself. That's right, two SD70Ms, 6706, a mini shield, and a Gevo that's blessed with getting to lead any special train it wants. This consist truly was something worth going out for. It took a little bit of switching before the train was long enough to cross the 21st Street grade crossing, but this was where we would finally get our first properly lit run-by. Once the AC 4400 CW-shaped air compressor had gone by, we relocated to 17th Street to get another run-by. However, as WTFW was approaching, an eastbound BNSF grain train showed up. I think you can guess what happened next. I wasn't bothered by this for obvious reason, but after that happened, I got my drone up and flew it over to the head end of the train. The reason for this is because I wanted to try to get a pacing shot of 6706 with my drone, since of course at the time we were under the impression that this was its final run before rebuild. After a bit of flying the drone around, I would eventually get a pacing shot of it, and even though this wasn't its final run, I'm still glad I got the pacing shot because it's pretty cool. 6706 is the final surviving example of the final order of locomotives made by the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad. These locomotives were bought less than a year prior to the famed 1995 merger between the Chicago and Northwestern and the Union Pacific, yet this locomotive still wears the paint it was delivered in to this day, albeit with some slight modifications. It may not be in these colors for too much longer though, so definitely get your shots while you still can. After concluding this drone flight, I went down low and got some stills before I headed home for the evening. After taking a few weeks off from railfanning to make the Kansas City video, I headed back trackside on August 11th with a new motive. You see, on this day, after several years of anticipation, I finally got my driver's license. I've been making very good use of it since I got it, and you'll see the full extent of that in 2 weeks' video. It would be next week's video, but next week's video is going to be a huge surprise that I cannot wait to share with you guys, so it's going to delay the driver's license showcase video even more. Anyways, the first train I would catch after getting my driver's license was Local 9 with the greenie weenie trailing. After Local 9 had cleared, my friend Wichita Railfanning showed up before we would both catch one more train, this being the BNSF HAMS KCK with an RS3L leader and an AC44C4M trailing. Quite a nice duo if you ask me. After catching this train, we both headed to Orient Yard where we would find some nice rarities on the K&O to end off the evening. The first is WAMX 3831, also known as the Blue Blob, that was used by said railroad before the railroad became independent. This was used by said railroad before it was no longer owned by Watco. In fact, it may not ever have been owned by Watco, this was just the first engine they ever had. Some of the other neat engines around the shops included a Canada cab that was being worked on and the tunnel motor from the Bunge elevator down south of town. And how could I forget UP 2519, the former Rail Beast unit. Kinda crazy to think how that unit specifically ended up on my local short line of all places. I believe it's being prepped to be transferred over to Skull, but I could be wrong on that, so if anyone knows, please let me know. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching everyone, and have a great rest of your day.